Thank you so much for joining us on Ubuntu channel. This is Let's Talk Politics on Ubuntu. My name is Lawrence, hosting you throughout this program. Now, we continue to update you on the current cholera situation that we have in the country. And as released by the Ministry of Health, we've had 373 new cases in the last 24 hours, bringing the total number of cholera cases reported to 9,953 from the time the pandemic started. And 345 patients have been released or have been removed from admission from the facilities countrywide in the last 24 hours, which brings us 8,767 patients who have recovered from this disease. And currently we have 799 patients in the facilities. Also, it's important to make mention that we've had a total of 23 deaths in the last 24 hours as a result of the cholera pandemic, bringing the number of deaths total to 397. And now from the 23 that have died in the last 24 hours, we are told 13 have died from the community, that is in their homes or in the communities, and 10 have died in the facilities. That is the situation that we have. But today is about politics. We only wanted to remind you of the fact that we are faced with cholera pandemic as things stand. Now, let's get back into politics. I'm not alone to discuss this. Our topic for today. I'm joined by Mukelabai as usual. Mukelabai, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us today on Ubuntu channel.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Lawrence, and good evening, Wiseman, and good evening, viewers. It's good to have you listening to our program.
Okay, we also have Mr. Wiseman joining us all the way from Kabwe. Mr. Wiseman, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Good evening, comrades. Good evening to our viewers, our listeners. Good evening, Mukelabai.
Awesome. Now remember, you the viewers have the opportunity to participate in this program by dropping a comment wherever you are watching us from. Or alternatively, if you want to join us into the studio, I'll ask the producer to share the link you can use to find us in the studio so that we can have an interaction together later on in the program. Tonight, we are looking at youths in politics, and we are trying to digest and find out the meaningful ways in which youths are able to participate in politics other than the usual being used as tools of violence and things like that. We have an able panel here that are able to talk about this issue and highlight some of these things that are happening or opportunities that are there for the youth in the world of politics. That is what we are here to do this evening. Mukelabai, I'll start with you. Youth and politics. These two things seem, it seems like youth have only been used as tools by the older politicians. Is it possible to change the narrative?
Oh, well, it is possible. Thank you, by the way. It is possible to change the narrative. This narrative has been brought about by previous administrations in the manner in which they do not consider youths as people that are able to provide positive change or be entrusted with senior positions in government or in any other institutions, but just to use them at a very lower level in terms of campaign. During campaign, that's the time they want to use the youths, and mostly you actually would find that most of those that are categorized as cadres. Most of them are youths. And those that categorize themselves as intellectuals are the ones that you find have holding on higher positions. And you look at their age, they are quite, they've lived their time. They are actually, some of them are even in retirement. But as soon as they form governments, you find that the youths that were being used to run around and campaign, or rather to go and suppress other camps, or to, they are the ones that are now they are left behind and use, and you find that they go and bring a person that is retired or that was retired and record them back, meaning you still have to go back to the same old things, that the youths are not trusted because of what the youths have been um, cocooned in that area, or in that shell of cadreism, but are not be able to be responsible enough to run an institution, or to be given responsibilities of a nation, for example, or a department, but they are put in such departments and they are left out. So we have seen that happening from the previous regimes, and the current regime also, even though they try to bring in the youths, but then the problem is the very youths that have been brought in, they come into the government with different ideology. Instead of working, providing proper professionalism, they just go into materialistic. They want to get rich as quickly as possible, forgetting about why they have been brought into the institution, or into those positions. And then you find the elderly who are holding senior position, they lose confidence and they lose trust, including citizens. They say, you bring young men, look at the way they are doing things. They are immature, busy flashing when they have a little bit of an opportunity to have some money, instead of inspiring others, but they do show off, mocking those who don't have, or steal, or being involved in corrupt activities. As you have seen, some of the ministers that are still youths, that are still in categorized as youths, have been found in illicit activities, where some have been dropped out, some have resigned, some uh, have been retired on a public interest, some are pending going to court facing corrupt charges. So
Okay, Labai,
it is
okay.
where we have.
Let me bring in Wiseman as well on this one. Mr. Wiseman, Mukelabai is emphasizing on the idea of previous regimes having looked at youths in a certain way, or having overlooked the youth for various positions or appointments in those lines. But uh, let's also look at those who have been in opposition in the past. Wiseman, have you ever heard of someone who is not a youth being shot by police, or being found in areas that are not supposed to be? That is in party circles. Have you ever heard of that? If you have not heard of things like that, why is it so?
Yeah, I think this is a very good question, and it's a very good topic. Thank you very much, Comrade Lawrence and Mukelabai. I think youths, particularly in Africa and specifically in Zambia, youths has been used to be a rubber stamp. They are just the ladder to make people, to make old people find themselves the position where they were for too long. So
Seemingly, we have lost Wiseman there.
He's back.
Mukelabai,
He's back.
is wise is Wiseman still with us?
Yeah, I'm able to see myself here unless network is failing somehow.
Okay, we can get you now. Please, you can go ahead and continue your point.
Yeah, my point was that youths for me, they have been deprived for so many opportunities and they have been used to be the ladder. And most of the things which has led to that, comrade, more especially here in Zambia, our education background is very poor in Zambia. You will discover that most of our education system, it always teaches us to do long things and not to plan for our future. So the time you are a youth, you still have a fresh memory of your education system. So for you to catch up, it takes time. That's why even politicians, old folks, they take advantage of us. You will discover that if there is a place to go and fight, youths will be considered to be the first or the priority. When it comes to appoint thuggery, they always look for youths. But when it comes to appoint ministers and everything, PSS and other directors, they look for old people. It's not because they have got experience, It's because they are saving for no future. Youths we save for future. Just for example, we had the government which had a youthful appointments, the government of KK. That's the government where we saw free education, free meal, and everything were moving smoothly, except by then we didn't have machinery like we have now. So when we are talking about youths, it's not about experience. Youths, they are capable of doing everything, but except they have been pushed. Youths, Mr. Lawrence, they have been put like those old fathers, our old parents, who have been given a bond to say, "Chaba wishi, chakudaba wishi." There is no stake. Then other stake has been eaten by the women's. That's how the youths has been treated nowadays. So for me, youths, they have been displaced. That's the point I can just end with.
Okay, Mukelabai, coming back to you, we let's look at our constitution first and foremost. I think that's the genesis of everything that we're going to do. We have the constitution which says that we cannot have a president who is less than 35 years of age. That is one of the qualifications to be the president of the Republic of Zambia is you must be above 30, you must be 35 or above at the time of election. That rubber stamps the fact that we can never ever have a youthful, that is a president who is a youth. Is that where all all issues stem from? Is this what determines actually the fact that youths cannot participate in most of these political issues?
No, actually, it's the way. The question first that you have to understand is to define who is a youth. Okay. And at what age is one considered a youth? So we know that youth, you are starting from 15 to somewhere around 29 or 30 years. You are
35
still,
by law.
come again.
It's 35
So
by definition.
35. That's when you are called a youth
Up to
from
35 years.
yes. Thank you for that correction. I thought it was up to 20, 29 or 30. But now you're saying it's 30, 35. So already we know that engaging youth in politics brings diverse perspectives, fresh ideas, and increased civic participation and foster a more inclusive and dynamic democratic process. Do we see that in Zambia? Do we see our youths taking initiative to bring fresh ideas apart from insulting, disrespecting elders? Yet we have our own system, our own traditions. And when you look at our tradition, our customs always puts a youth or a young person as, or treats a young person as a person without experience. And then you consider people that have lived longer on this planet to have more experience, and we should respect. That is where the genesis is coming from. And we have taken that throughout. Even when a youth has degrees, has masters, you won't see them being put in strategic positions to run the warfare. That's why you find that in Africa, in particular, to date, we still have presidents that are still holding power that for 30 to 40 years, they're still presidents. Why? It's because of the custom or the culture that we have in our setup. Yes, we need to change this narrative. Yes, we need to involve youths to participate in politics, to bring diverse perspectives, fresh ideas, to increase the civic participation. But are the youths, are they available for that? Are we, no, I'm not a youth. Are you, the youths, available to bring such kind of touch into the governance system? Why do you think adults, they are leaving you behind? Because the moment we have seen, you have shown, you have demonstrated that as soon as you are put in a strategic position where you're exposed to certain things, we have noticed, we have seen, you yourself, you and me, Facebook and the social media, you can tell from the way one is expressing themselves or handling themselves, behaving. We can tell that, honestly, can we appoint this kind of a youth to be the vice president of the Republic of Zambia, to be the minister? Look at the behavior. Already you can tell from those people that were privileged to be elected as a youth in parliament. Look at the behavior.
Now,
Do those people exhibit
Mr. Wiseman,
maturity?
Mr. Wiseman, Mukelabai, let me bring in Mr. Wiseman into your point here. Mr. Wiseman, would you
Only.
find it fair to judge every youth because of the behavior of 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 youths as the general behavior for everybody out there?
No, I think we have got another person who showed this nakedness when he was a minister. So if we were to judge one youth who misbehaved to be labeled, every youth can behave like that, then even old people, the ages of Mukelabai, they should be judged based on that one who exposed his nakedness on public.
Interesting, interesting stuff. Well, remember to our viewers that we appreciate your viewership, and obviously we want you to participate in this topic, especially you, the youths out there. We want to hear what your views
Actually,
are.
just to
And
counteract on Wiseman.
we're glad to hear from you. Mukelabai,
That,
obviously you want. But as you are coming in, I want us to look at also uh, the general conduct of your kind. Since you are not a youth, you are not a youth, so of your kind. They have been running. They have been controlling the strategic positions for all this time. Where are we as a country as they continue to control these strategic positions? Don't you think at some point we need to change strategy? Because the dictionary, one wise man actually defined foolishness as doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results.
yes. No, I agree with that wise man that said, not this wise man that we have here now, who is attacking the our former minister of education that was that erroneously, Vinabwera Mochedwa, this technology, it's good for the youths, not for the old folks. He pressed the wrong button, and unfortunately, he went live, and that was an error, unforeseen, and of course, there was a little bit of some ignorance in that aspect, but just human error, you know. If he knew that by pressing that button he was not going to be viral, um, well, he would have actually made the right decision. But that does not take away his ability to think, his ability, his credentials. No, that was just a simple error. But what I'm trying to say is that most of our youths that we have today who are representing the fellow youths, it's the behavior they exhibiting. Most of them, some of them, they've been kicked, they've been transferred, if I may find a good word. They've been transferred because the senior position that they were holding, they displayed or exhibited some kind of immaturity and some illicit activities. And that's why the elderlies came in and chipped in because of experience. But what you have to understand is that we learn through mistakes. Even these elderly people that are now senior citizens that are in senior positions, strategic positions, there was a time when they were youths, and they were immature in certain things. They did stupid things as well. However, that does not mean they cannot change, or they are not capable of doing the right thing, or they cannot think on behalf or represent the youths, or even think and encompass, bring in the youths to participate in, or grooming the youths to participate in governance system. They are, but the problem is just Miambo. Me, I'm still going back to Miambo. African Miambo. I agree with the wise man here on how is, as adults, African, especially African parents, how we do not want to include our youths, our young ones, to take over or to groom them to be the perfect leadership. Instead, we want to hold on. We want ourselves to be there. I'll give you a practical example of Wo Edgar Changwalungu. I have said it before. He's our president. We love him. He served. But he wants to come back and be the president again. Meanwhile, he has a daughter who is young, viable, youth, a very pretty young girl. And she's a member of parliament. What I'm saying is that instead of the president, the former president, supporting his daughter, to elevate his daughter somewhere there, or for her to even aim for higher offices as the president of the Republic, the female president of the Republic of Zambia, what does he do? He came back into politics himself. Now, the daughter, she's even more senior than him. He has no portfolio. You know what I mean? He has no portfolio. He's not even a party president. They claim he's a party president. It's just on previous papers, but not now. So this is the kind of narrative that is going throughout all parents, most of the parents in Africa. You will never hear parents, not until we die. That's when a child is going to. That's why Ivana, when they inherit their father's properties or companies, they mess up things because they are not well groomed. As parents, as African parents, we are so scared of our own children, of our own generation, our own children, of course, to inherit where we see them or push them while we are still alive to direct them and to navigate them to do the right thing. We fail to do so. Why? Because we are too greedy. We are too greedy.
Okay.
So we will support the children to go to school, yes, but we don't want to witness them succeed in life. We want when we die, because we know that ngatwafwa, that's when venavana they will take over and do. That's why they mess up.
Okay.
So
Let me
it starts with us.
let me bring in Wiseman as well to have a say on this. Wiseman, let's look at it in this way. Most of the challenges that we're faced with as a country are actually challenges that befall and affect the youth. You can talk of unemployment. You can talk of all these debts. It's because that these people with Mukelabai and his colleagues have left us in debts and now failing to fund a lot of things that are supposed to progress youth as the youth. That is, you can talk of education system, you can talk of the infrastructure that we need, you can talk of the technological advancement that this country so much needs in order to just get to a stage where we are able to communicate viably and efficiently with the rest of the world. We are here now. Most of the challenges are affecting the youth, and yet the youth have almost no representation in all these levels in the governance system. Don't you think if youths were actually were actually handling some of these positions, it would be easier to find solutions to some of the problems that we have?
Yeah, thank you, comrade. I think let me start with the question which you asked Mukelabai about our constitution, which limits a youth to be a president. If you think too much, you're going to discover that that constitution was amended in 2016. 90% of the member of parliament who were in that parliament when they were amending that constitution, they are old people like Mukelabai. Youths were not there, so automatically they were not looking. They were not representing the youths. They were representing themselves. You discover that in the same constitution there is a clause which defends a old age not to get more years to go to prison, but gives more years for a youth to go to prison. Why is it like that? Because old folks, they are the biggest number in parliament. So automatically, a youth will be pushed to a corner for it to favor them. You will discover that they know that it is about when you are a president, a former president gets 80% of an incumbent president. They know that that money won't go to the youth; it will go to a old folk. So that's why you find that most of the favors has been going there. To make matters worse, even these non-governmental organizations, they only speak for the women. None of them has come to say let us give that that 8 member of parliament to go for the youths. They have only gone for we want women in parliament. We have got women who have been in parliament and they have failed us. So many. One woman never thought of youths. She just went and removed a meal allowance without thinking what a youth will be eating while he is learning. So we have seen so many disappointments coming from those which the non-governmental organization has been championing. So youths, comrade, I can assure you, when youths can be involved, they can change something. When you see a youth member of parliament in parliament coming with a all different setup of how to handle issues in parliament, that does not mean that that youth is going astray. No. The only thing is because the old folks want us to be following the old things which our colonial masters were doing while they were wearing that white thing on their head. No, when a youth goes there, he's going to see that the current situation is different with what was happening in 2000. So it's going to debate different. That's why you have seen that in South Africa, South African Parliament is now known by the world because there is the youth and the youth party which has gone there. So for me, a youth, if a youth is involved, a lot of things can change. Only that a youth has been told, no, for you it is to be empowered. When an old folk, for him is to go and get a salary, a pension in 5 years, which you will never work in your which you will never make in your lifetime. So for me, a youth, if he were to be involved, I can assure you, comrade, this country will never be the same. We have got a youth in Chipata in the name of the mayor. We have got a youth by Rook, although he has got a forehead in Kanchivia, who's performing wonders. We have got a youth in Sesheke who's performing, but he has been shut to be quiet. We don't know why. We have got, this is the first time we have seen a minister in the youthful looking, we don't know by age, resigning after being suspected to have corrupt issues. You can see how youths they are showing the moral. It is the old folks, ages of Mukelabai, who were flying with flags, going to court without even thinking shamelessly to say, I'm painting my country black. It is the old folks in the name of Mukelabai, whom we have seen one minister being jailed. So youths, they have got the favors compared to old folks, except the old folks, the number is too limited. It is like you get 5 kg of rice to put into 100 kg of salt. Automatically, salt will be visible than rice. So we're going to see that problems will be seen more to youths because the number is bigger than the old folks. So try the youths, and I can assure you, you will see. The simple example I can give you as I'm winding up, my comrade Lawrence, the councillors we have, 90% currently councillors we have, they are youths. Have you heard any records, bad records from those councillors? The answer is no. If you see a bad record, he has resigned because Wamwingisha will teacher. Because now I'm not the councillor, that is for the pension in our MP is not getting it. So he's going to opt to resign. It's a bad record. So for me, we can do wonders if we were to be involved and participate in national cake.
Okay. Thank you so much for that brilliant submission. They are much appreciated for it. Mukelabai, I'm going to rush to you. I know there is a lot you want to respond to. I actually know, but I want also you to bear in mind of this question. If the youths are the majority in this country, proven by the previous census that we just had, youths are the majority in this country. Why is it that we are looking much more backwards to the old folks in most of these opportunities? Worse off, we also, I think, President Michael Chilufya Sata went on to increase the retirement age from 50 to 55, meaning that an old folk who has been holding on to that position was given 5 more years to hold on to that position, depriving of the youth. And now we are also talking of unemployment levels being high. All these things, don't you think politicians are letting the youth down?
No, it's actually the youths that are letting themselves down because you are not empowering yourselves in terms of education, the equalizer. Most of you, the youths, decided to drop out from school and you expect to have a white collar job when you don't even have a diploma or a certificate. How would you run? And then here's an elderly person that has been on the block for years, and has experience. Even when you look at somebody that has no qualification as well as an adult, but you look at the experience he has lived for a while on this planet, and he has more experience than a child who's just coming out of school that has been given an opportunity, that it has decided negligently, decided to just give up, you know? And then you still have a lot of life ahead of you, but instead you chose to go and start dancing, or you choose some careers that will not take you anywhere. You want to venture into music production. All of you, the youth, you want to become musicians. It becomes impossible. You see, just educate yourselves as youths if you want to hold of, because once you educate yourself, no matter, because that education will be stuck on you, it will be permanent on you. As you are growing, that education also is getting matured. You are getting matured with your education, and you are getting more experience with your background of your having educated yourself. So even when you reach the age of adulthood or above the youthhood, you will be a matured youth or a well qualified and well knowledgeable youth. But what do we see today? The government has even forced, this current government has forced itself to say, let us maybe the reason why youths are not involved is because of this caveat of education fees. People are failing to go to attain education because it's costly. Let us wipe out this so that we see the participation of youths, because what we see is that the youths have indulged themselves in unproductive activities. Those who have decided to educate themselves, there are very few. The rest are still illiterate. How do we, and look at them, they indulge themselves in activities that are very unproductive, and that it's a sad situation to see. So that is why this government has chosen probably the path to say, we want to involve youths. Free education has not come to elderly people, retirees. No. Free education is targeted to the new generation, the youths. So meaning this government has at least a heart for the youths. It has opened the Pandora box. Let us remove this caveat. No more excuse of awe my school fees yandia nakange okuti niende ku school. Let us remove this and see.
Right. Mukelabai, you seem to be a little bit biased on people who have dropped out, but I can, if you ask me to point for you any number you want, give me 5, 10, 20 youths who have actually gone all the way to the top with degrees and still have no employment. I can show you. At least if we can even ask those watching us on Facebook to indicate how far they've gone in their school and they're not working, they might be able to tell you. All those people are not in employment. Remember, let's say for instance, we have a teacher who is going who has to go now up to 55 years old teaching in class, and we have one teacher who also graduated years on, waiting for that opportunity to go into the service. Now, if you look at the production, actually, even for a teacher who is 55 years old in class, quite a number of learners will tell you that actually they end up dozing because, I mean, people are exhausted, they're tired, they need to rest. Why are we pushing them to go up to 55 years old?
Well, I don't think 55 years old is it's an old age. Actually, it's a very youthful age. Even wine, when you keep wine, the older it gets, the better the wine becomes. But we are not going to necessarily negate the youths out of the proportion, or rather that we want to bring the youths. Yes, we want to bring the youths. We love them. We want them to come and participate in the national development and to see the nation prosper. But when you exhibit irresponsible behavior, even the few that are given opportunities, then you go and mess it up. Then you are painting a very terrible picture. Then you find that even employers, they want somebody that has what? Experience. So they wouldn't want to mess up their business because they want to portray, bring out this business. I mean, they want to portray this good picture of employing youths. No, they want people, youths that are responsible, that are going to exhibit professionalism. But how do we see that? We see from your character, your behavior. Most of these youths, for example, if you look at the drivers, when you look at the people causing accident, they are not old people. Actually, old people are the ones who are victims in road traffic accidents. The youths are the one driving vehicles. The youths are the one who are causing accidents, killing so many people. Why? Because they have no experience or they've been drinking. They are irresponsible. What do you do when you want a driver? You are going to ask for experience, somebody who is matured, not playfulness, isn't it? So we have to be very careful. Much of we appreciate that tifuna mayutsi bangene nchito, but tifuna mayutsi na bebe very responsible, noti bamene badwala bali na ma issues, bana bali na ma issues. Come with show us the responsibility behavior that you can produce or you can work. And the other point I wanted to say was, not everyone will be employed. If you attain education and your education you're attaining is want to be employed, I'm taking this education because I want to be an employee, then that education is not going to do you much better, do you well. Sometimes educating is to expand the knowledge that you already have and tell you to be able to come up, to be innovative, come up with your own ways of navigating yourself throughout the life, that you can actually achieve more things. You yourself as a youth can be an entrepreneur. You can be the employer. You can be the CEO at your own pace, at your own base. You don't need to be an employee. You don't have to depend on the government or private sectors to employ you. That's why you went to school. You can still utilize your knowledge. You can expand. That's why you have degree. Degree does not specifically give you this area, this is what you're going to do. What happens if you don't get a job? But that degree that you acquired, the knowledge that you acquired, will venture you in doing something that is going to sustain your life or bring some income into your livelihood. So how do you do it if you are not having this dependence syndrome? So education, yes, we welcome it, but at the same time, we need to be proactive. We need to be creative. We need to be innovative, not just depending on bazani ngenesa nchito tizalindira. That's why my politician bale minyantirira, because you have a degree. You have closed all these other doors. You just want to be an employee. You want to be employed.
Let me bring in Wiseman also. Let me bring in Wiseman also. Wiseman, Mukelabai has touched quite a number of aspects. One of them is experience. And I think it's one of the cries that a lot of people have been talking about, where everybody seems to want 10 years experience. They want 10 years experience.
Before we go any further, Mr. Speaker, point of order. The old folks, they are becoming unbecoming. David didn't have experience. David had a vision, and God made David to be a king. A vision and experience, they are two different things. Education, it cannot be a weapon to whip the youths. It is the old folks we saw ECZ declaring their seats vacant and cause a by-election for not having a grade 12 certificate. It is here in Zambia. We know them. They know themselves. It was under the old folks when they signed a constitution which they never read. They never knew there is a clause of a grade 12 certificate, where we saw most of them failing to stand in their constituents because they never had a grade 12 certificate. By then, they were serving as ministers. So education, it shouldn't be a weapon to whip a youth. No. We, some of the youths, and when I say we, I'm putting myself on that list. We were born with vision. Just with our knowledge from our mother, we are able to learn this country properly without any control of the old folk. We are seeing a lot of accidents happening, vehicle driven by youths. It's because the youths, we are a sort. Old folks, they are lies in a sort. So you find that the big number of youths, they are drivers. Old folks, they are scared of driving because they can cause more accidents. That's why most of accidents are happening on favor of the youths. When you think about when you talk about how my comrade Mukelabai has said to say we need to be educated. Comrade, we have seen a lot of bricklayers nowadays who are designing buildings. Even you, Mukelabai, old folks, you are employing us youths to come and design your house without education background, just with the knowledge of our mother. We are able to design your house properly designed, and people they are even start watching. So why can't you try us in government to see things changing? If you saw those which our father KK, may he rest in peace, those youths which he picked, they were not that educated, but they were knowledgeable on how to govern the country, and they delivered. These people we are seeing now, tycoon ministers of Vom Sokotwane and the group, they were not that too much educated when they were shaking this country. They delivered. Up to now, we are depending on them. So for me, we the youths, it's different Zambian culture with European culture. You discover that here in Zambia, I'll be in school for 12 years, Mukelabai. That 12 years is a wasted years in Zambia because you will never get any employment with a grade 12 certificate. You have to go for college. So what was that 12 years for? What was I doing in those 12 years? A youth is being deprived. We have been pushed to do something for 12 years, which won't take us anywhere. So for me, let us just remove this issue of we need experience. How am I going to be 10 years experience when you have been added 5 years or 50 years of you serving as a director? I won't. Because the time normally, Lawrence, in Zambia, we normally complete school at the age of 20 years sometimes. So if you complete school at the age of 20 years, by the time you are pushing for a college, you are 30. The time Mukelabai is saving his retirement of 50, you are going to find yourself in 45 years. The time is being finishing the added 5 years. You are rushing to be a 50 years as well, almost retiring. A youth has been wasted. So for me, education, free education, we appreciate it has come. It has come for old people as well. Just like the president says, he was giving an example of an old woman who never had money. When a free education came, she realized what she wanted to do and went back to school. So free education has come for both old folks, Mukelabai your age and our age. But as you are serving in parliament without education, let's favor the youth as well. My cry and my appeal is that let us have a 50-50 sharing of that parliament. Let it be 50% of youths, let it be 25% of women, 25% of old folks. I can assure you Zambia will change. not 59 years of independence. We are still talking about the gravel road. We are still talking about water. Still talking about cholera. Cholera, when we have got 90% of old folks seated while they are shouting, yeah, in parliament. No, we should change the narrative. We have tried 59 years of old folks, it has failed. We need to try another 59 years of youths to see how things will line. That's my submission, comrade. Thank you.
Okay, Mukelabai, I bet you have heard that free education has also come for you. I'm not sure which school you're going to enroll at, but you can also take advantage of the free education that has been provided. That is what Mr. Wiseman is telling us. We
Yes.
appreciate you, the viewers, for joining us this evening. Interesting conversation we are having here, and it's really, really heating up, and we are loving the conversation. But we would also want to hear what you have to say on this particular topic of discussion. Remember, you are joined by myself, Lawrence, Mukelabai on the other side, and Mr. Wiseman also on the other side. Now, Mukelabai, let's rewind back. Let's just go back into the times of Kaunda, where we see the big man himself, may he so rest in peace, entrusting quite a number of youths. We can pick young people like the time that he was picking the Venoni Mwangas of this world, very young, and he made sure that they were up there, and they went on to be some of the greatest politicians we've ever produced as a country.
Yeah.
Have we so much lost faith in the youths that we don't see the need to appoint them even to be minister of youths in most cases, where we used to see the likes of Mr. Chimba Kambwili even talking to us, we the youth, and in my head I'll be like, we the youth, are we together?
Yeah, I think it's high time the youths started appreciating what the adults are doing. You know, for you, of course, like I said earlier, that because of Miambo, because of our culture, this respect setup where a young man or a young child is supposed to give much respect to adults. That has gone all the way into politics in every aspect of our day-to-day activities, even in education. But today, because education has brought some kind of equality, that you find today you are being supervised by a young man or young woman who has attained higher education than you, even when you are old, but you are being led by a youth. But that is okay. And that should be welcomed. Okay. But when Wakaunda appointed VJ was not just from a street. No. VJ had exhibited some element of maturity and had his credentials well vested, well done. Therefore, Kaunda could not have picked him had he been a Kalimanshira, for example, or had he been even a Nan. These youths you see today that are busy insulting or doing other things. But VJ exhibited his maturity, and his credentials were met the requirements. And that's why Kaunda decided to push the youths. Today, we see our government, even our previous governments, they get those who have good standard in society, those who have good credentials, and they push them to go serve in missionaries abroad, to go and represent our country, to go and be in strategic positions where they could, because of their credentials, because of their qualifications. We cannot embarrass ourselves and get Kalimanshira, for example. I'm using Kalimanshira. Sorry boy, Kalimanshira, we imponona next time ungawansanga. But I'm just giving you an example, as I'm using you as an example, because nali kwishiva, twalishivana, pali apananikani. So we used him and they say, can you go and represent us as an ambassador to America? You'll be the first youth to come and say, what a shame. What are you doing, President? How can you send someone
Mukelabai,
of that caliber?
appreciate the fact that characters like the Kalimanshis and the like are actually created by the politicians, that is the old folks, who will actually even sponsor them, fund them, ensure that all their activities are well funded and well broadcasted. This is
Yeah,
not
but
a
if
debate. Actually,
Kalimanshira was now listen, if the Kalimanshira was a very strong and knew his limitation and he does not want to be abused by an irresponsible adult, Kalimanshira would simply say, take your money elsewhere. I don't want. But if you fall into the ditch and you go and receive the money and then you go and put your life in harm's way, and you go get injured or you go get arrested, and then you claim adults are using us as youths, where were you? If you can't say no to someone who wants to abuse you as a youth, how could you come and claim that I want the government to put me in the government to lead an institution when you can't even say no to a politician, an irresponsible politician who wants to just use you to go and stone people? Why can't you say no as a responsible youth? If you show that you are a youth that cannot dwell into such kind of nonsense, and then you put these adults into in their lane, you will never see any adult that will come to you and wants to abuse you, because you know yourself, you know your rights. So it is up to you also, the youths, to remember what you want in life. Do you want to be used? Do you want to be abused for a 50 kwacha to go and commit a crime that it's you who's going to have a record? And ulia ule kupera 50 kwacha or 100 kwacha or 10 pin. Na ikala mu office mweyakon is 55 years old, is 60 years old, barambikira pona 5 more years, you are rotting in prison. So if you yourself, you become responsible as a youth, as you claim, as you want to be part and parcel and take part in the national cake, show the responsibility, then I promise you, Fueva Kalamba, we cannot run away from a youth that is showing responsibilities. We will run for you and we'll bring you, because we know that you are a future, you are the only hope that is going to save certain institutions. But if you don't show, then we will go back to the retired, to Wokanganja, come and be the Inspector General of Police. When you are there, Mwewa, for example, is there, he bashed the tires of somebody. Instead, let's say he's a youth. I know he's in his 50s, but let's say he was a youth. And then we want an inspector general or the person that is going to be an ambassador of cleaning the city. He has a criminal record. How are we going to pick somebody like that? We will go to who? To Wokajova.
that's one of yours. That's one
We'll
of
go
yours.
and get Wokajova and bring Wokajova, who has a clean record. Or go and bring the air command. We bring the people that we know that they've tested power, they've shown experience, they've shown maturity. But when we try you with the youths, mwendo bema
The thing
vyamba,
is,
mwendo ponya mataya,
the
how can we bring you?
the point where I tend to disagree with you is that even the Lemikajoas you're talking about were at some point given a chance by someone. Why is it that the leadership that we have does not want to take a risk with anybody? When
You
somebody took a chance with
you can't say you don't want. They want to. They want to, but you are not there.
Wait, Mr. Wiseman, let me come to you. I understand there is something that you also want to ask.
Yeah, thank you, Comrade Rollins. Before I put on my submission, I want to ask a question to Mukelabai. Mukelabai, can I ask you a question?
You can go ahead. You can
Go,
go
go,
ahead. He's very
go ahead.
online.
Go ahead.
Okay, Mukelabai, you are a farmer. You have been given a seed to plant. You go and plant that seed in the stones instead of in the soil. Then that seed, as it is growing, instead of you applying a normal fertilizer, you are still adding some stones on the seed. Then the seed grows in a very awkward situation. Are you going to blame the seed? Or are going to blame the farmer who planted the seed in the stones?
If I have the knowledge myself of where to plant the seed, and or negligently or foolishly I go and plant the seed on the stone where I'm very much aware that it's not going to grow, I am the person to blame, because I'm not going to blame the person who gave me the seed.
For
I'll
you,
blame myself.
for you to have a good generation of young people under KK, which means they were good parenting, they were good leaders, good parents who were showing young ones how to grow. For you to have a long generation of young people currently, it is because we have long generation of parents. We have got long clubs of old folks who were teaching us to say, if you want to be a politician as a young one, you need to be violent. If you see your friends wearing red and you are wearing green, you have to fight. As we are growing, we are a seed, and the seed is being controlled by a farmer. It depends in what chemical you are putting in your seed for you to see the result of your seeds. So don't blame a youth for now. Blame yourselves. Blame us when we produce our own seeds. You will see what type of seeds we are going to produce. Because you, old folks of nowadays, you have failed us. We have got some youths who have come too strong, even when you planted them in two stones. They have come too strong to say, even if you have planted us in these stones, we are going to germinate the maize, which we are going to eat. In the name of Anthony Waria, we have got Chipo Manawasa, we have got a lot. Some they are still languishing in the compound who can perform much better than the old folks. It is the old folks we saw who were beating people in the time of COVID-19. We have seen them. We have seen so many examples of old folks. They have failed us. Why can't you say, for old folks, 50 years we gave you to learn this country. Up to now, if I were to go and exhume my grandfather who were in Kaunda, he will be shocked to say the same gravel road they were talking about in Kaunda, we are still talking about it today. The same cholera which was mentioned under FTJ, it is the same cholera we're still languishing with today. The same malaria which was killing people under KK, we are still fighting the same malaria today. Meanwhile, we have got people we call old people who have got experience, old people who have got the vision, but we are still fighting for the same thing today. So why can't we accept, you people, you old folks, accept that it is high time you rest? Allow us as well, since you have destroyed this country for 50 years, allow us to destroy it for 5 years as well. You will see how we are going to perform. If we fail, you will still come back as our partner and tell us to say, no, Bane, you have failed in this angle. But again, we won't accept it because you have failed for 50 years. Why are you still questioning? Because one Karimanshi has shown violence. You want to put the whole Lusaka to say youths they are violent. Because you, when you yourself, you have got one old folk who show nakedness, you are saying simple mistake. When you yourself, you have got old folks who went and do something to some tires, you are saying one mistake. When as a youth, one youth go there and misbehave, you are painting Lawrence to be a wrong youth, Wiseman to be a wrong youth. Everyone, no, go and repent. You need the Bible for you to have this appointment. No, it is you people. Give us a chance. 2026, we want to see a clause in parliament which will be passed to say We are not going to allow anyone above 35 years to stand as an MP. We want less than 35 years to stand as an MP. For one term, try us. You will see. We want even you, as you will be going, go with those books of yours in parliament. Take them. We are going to come with new books ourselves. We try to control the situation. I can assure you, you will never see cholera. You will never see it under our lane. You will never see, we will never see gravel roads under our lane. You will never see it. We are going to negotiate. So try us. Don't just say no, because look at the way Lawrence is getting things here, Mukelabai. Now, call for a meeting where the president will be a guest of honor. You won't see the experience of Lawrence, how he's addressing things here. You will see the age. To say, come and be the master of ceremony, as we were gracing the president to be the guest of honor. No, try Lawrence, try him, give him ZNBC to say, Lawrence, here's ZNBC. We have seen how you have been doing things on your Ubuntu. Come, what position can you suit? Be a director. You will see how ZNBC will be advertising things while things are moving. Because you have seen how he's performing. You want Lawrence to go back to school, then he comes back at 50 years to say, I want to be director of ZNBC. No, give him. If it is the PS, give him. Tell him, media, you, the PS information, try it. You perform. So for me, forget about education, forget about everything. We were born with this knowledge. Try us. And I'm calling for all our youths to rise in 2026. Let us adopt youths. Let us try youth. Let's go for youth. Even for presidency, call a youth to be there. Let a youth to be a president as well, so that we can see how it's going to be languishing in limousines. That's what we want. We have seen our fellow youths driving jets. Why can't we do the same in Zambia? That's development. When it comes to a youth, no, he's showing off. When it comes to old folks, no, they have got experience. It's okay. They can have my jets. They can have lemonies. No. Let us try this time around. So for me, Mukelabai, 2026, we are with you, old folks. Thank you.
I know we have run out of time, and
we still have time. Don't worry.
I'm thinking we should this particular topic, actually, we still haven't even reached halfway of where I would love it to go. Probably we shall continue with this topic next week, but for now, let me bring in Mukelabai. Let me bring in Mukelabai and just hear from him.
Unfortunately,
what is the best way to engage the youth into some of these political positions, into key positions in the affairs of government, so that at least, as you want that experience you're talking about, at a time when these old folks are going, people should remain with experience. Some people should know, we've been there, we've seen how this was done, and all that. Probably we need to change a little bit, because obviously, with the passage of generations, there is a lot that the youths have now, which the old folks do not have. There is a lot of ideas that the youths have that the old folk might not have, especially to do with technology. Believe you me, if you have handled, if you have gone into these government offices, Mukelabai, it's a sorry sight. It's because the old folks actually cannot keep up with the information age, where they need to use computers and things like that. And that's why even up to now, you won't find a police station with a computer, entering cases there. You only find there is that very big book they call the occurrence book, and you even feel pity for the officer looking for one particular case, flipping pages the whole afternoon looking for one particular case. When are we going to get there?
Thank you so much for that. Well, first and foremost, we should appreciate that we have laws that we gave ourselves, and we have put up some targets that for one to be there, you need to achieve from there to there, and that's when you will be able to be around that area. But if you can't, it's not the end of the day. you can still try other things. You can still move on. What I'm trying to say is that it's a pity. Wiseman was talking about with or without education, you want the youths to get involved. How are you going to navigate the computer? How are you going to run the office if you don't have the know-how on how to even do the petty cash that you have in your office? How to navigate yourself around the gadgets, the technology you're talking about? You see, you need a certain discipline. Once you have acquired that certain discipline that is required, and then you are put in that office has rules and regulations that you need to follow. You cannot just do pante pante. And this is where you find things will just go the other way around. So we have a system that we gave ourselves, and we have put a carrot, dingling a carrot in front of it, to say for us to eat that carrot, we need to achieve, we need to undergo this. And once you reach there, you will be able to. And also show your muscles. Show us that you are willing to participate in that field. Show us that you are interested, you've vested your time and money into that area that you are trying to push, e.g., politics. If you want politics, what is it that you have done to yourself to reach there? What do you want to do? To be a politician, what do you need to be? What are the requirements? What do you want to do? You cannot be a politician. You want to be a politician, then you are found on the dancing floor, dancing. You want to be a politician, you are found what do we say? You are found let's say fishing. How are you going to bring people? So you need to focus. Stay focused. If you want to join politics, do politics and pursue courses, educations, or anything that is going to give you more knowledge relating to the profession or from the career that you wish to pursue. You cannot come and start pursuing a career or talking about something else and you want to do something else. Things don't work like that. We have systems in place. If we have failing, if there are so many things that are failing that we see that are not well, that is where you pick up and get the motivation that I want to be a doctor to save lives. You get motivated and then you pick up that.
Sorry for cutting it short, but I would love you to just marry your point with your concluding remarks so we can start winding up.
Okay. No, the youths, thank you. You need to be able to fit in a society. You need to actually meet certain requirements that are needed for you to be where you want to be. We have been given education as an equalizer. If we push ourselves in educating ourselves, we will be able to run those offices or to do anything that we put our mind onto, and let us be motivated. And yes, the elderly or the adults or the senior officers that are in offices, they are aware that they need to groom newcomers, new blood in institution, in strategic positions. But those people, those youths that they need, those new blood that is needed, they need to show their interest. They need to apply. If you want a job as a teacher, you need to push yourself around and become one. You look at the requirements, the qualifications. What is it that you need to do to become a teacher? You cannot be sitting home, watching videos, playing on social media, and you're saying, I want to be a teacher. and you're not taking any initiative to do a course in teaching so that you can qualify to be called a teacher. So you need to take it upon yourselves. Push, ask your parents, ask your relatives, get help get counsel from those that are experienced, those that have passed through the same thing. Because remember, they were also at one point youths just like you. You need the jobs, you
Okay.
can get the job. As
Let's
youth,
also get some conclusion.
as youth, you are most welcome.
Let's get
You are most
let's get
welcome. Nobody is negating the youths. You are the future of tomorrow, but you show your muscle, show the interest that you are willing to come and participate and make a difference and make a change in society.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Also, hear from Mr. Wiseman, and then we get to wind up on the other side. Mr. Wiseman, your concluding remarks. And remember, we get to continue this discussion next week.
Thank you very much, Comrade. My concluding remarks, I think I'll just pick 4 points, which will be quick. The first one, disagree with my elderly when he says, you are welcome. Welcoming us where? We belong here. We are entitled of that. There is no ownership to welcome us. So that thing belongs to us. Leadership belongs to us. So it is us, the youth, who are supposed to welcome you. The order to say, come and advise us how we're going to govern this country in one way or another where we're failing. Secondly, education is a very key. We the youths, we are on top of that. 90% of youths who are vying to be politicians, to be leaders, they are educated. So education, we have passed that level already. When my comrades analyze and give examples of 2 examples where he says, number one, you cannot be a fisherman and you want to be a politician. No, you have to be a politician to be a politician. Number 2, he says, you cannot be on a dance floor while you want to be a leader. And all those examples are going to his elderly people, his fellow elderly people. Number one was a dancer and became a president and knew this country. The other one was a farmer, sleeping, and was picked from one president who was retiring to become a president. So
He
even
was a
when you are a
lawyer.
fisher, you can still come and govern this country. So my concluding remarks, and as I'm winding up, comrade, I'm appealing to all the youth, all of them who have got grade 12 certificate. Can you please bring yourself on board and show interest that you want to govern your country, you want to change something in your country, and you want your country to be like USA. You want to see USA in Zambia. It is going to be with you, not with anyone else. Come on board. As you are coming on board, don't get advice from that old folk who has failed, because we are going to be moving in the same shoe. Come with new ideas. I can assure you, Zambia will change. As Lawrence is vying for ZNBC director, don't get advice from those who has failed, where the president was saying, you are playing a clip, before it finishes, you are playing an advert. No, go there to ZNBC with the idea of Ubuntu. We the youths, we are able to make it. The president of North Korea went to that position at a young age. Look at how North Korea is. Look at how China is. Most of developed countries, the leadership which is there, they went at a younger age. We should ask ourselves, what is it which I've done for this country to change? What is it which I have to do? So I'm calling upon all the youths, join me as we are going for flatter and grab which was taken from us and change this country. Thank you, comrade.
Okay, there we call it a wrap for tonight, but we shall actually continue having this discussion next week, same time, same place. For now, on behalf of Mukelabai, Mr. Wiseman, and Mr. Kunika, also on the controls, my name is Lawrence, and good night. Continue being with us.